edition of What has Dave been up to and why does it matter to me? And today we're going to actually go through crowdfunding. And I have a few things that I want to go through here. We'll talk about investing. We'll talk about how your investment will accrue interest. And then we'll also talk about converting your interest into shares, and then how the share value will increase, or the plan to increase over time. And then lastly, what's the sale of the shares going to look like? So in general, before I get started, I need to do this WeFunder legal disclaimer. WeFunder is a platform that houses a lot of companies who are raising money through investing. So they don't necessarily do donation based raising. They focus mostly in on companies that are looking at to issue securities in their companies. So this is an investment platform governed by the SEC. So I have to read the disclaimer before we get started. As we start to open up the pool of people, you might notice that this is no longer in the quote unquote friends and family sort of group. As now you might see people on here you're unfamiliar with, and more moving into the public sector of it. Therefore, we got to start acting like a public company to some extent. It's not as strict as being traded on the NASDAQ, but it's still some rules out there. The SEC has a bunch of rules on advertising, both on and off WeFunder. They're meant to protect investors and make sure they all get the same information. All the information I'll be talking about today is listed on the WeFunder site. And they like to sort of give you ideas of how you can spread the news to people without getting in trouble with the SEC. You can, right now we're in what's called the testing the waters provision of the SEC rules. That means that we can actually start publicizing our pitch, but this is not necessarily going to be part of the end of the SEC filing. The SEC has a filing requirement called the Form C that we'll have to do towards the end. And a lot of the information and a lot of the things we did to advertise leading up to that Form C will be provided to them. So for this purposes of this meeting today, we're going to mostly be focusing in directly on the website and everything that's available on the website. You cannot send me money directly for StarWalker. We will accept people buying positivity, think positive, drink positivity. You're free to buy a case, but we're not selling the securities directly. We're going through WeFunder. And so we cannot receive any other offering outside of what we're doing on the WeFunder platform. And also too, at this point, this is what's called an indication of interest in terms of your obligation. You're not obligated to actually commit until you execute investment documents. They will take money out of your account, but think of it as a TD Ameritrade account where they take the money out and it's sitting into your account and you allocate it to your portfolio. I will be able to show you that. So everything that we talk about will be mostly general. Today, you got a little bit extra though, because I'm an attorney. I'm going to put a legal twist on a lot of these things. I do believe the future of raising capital for small business will be through platforms like this, because of how accessible it is to the everyday people for real businesses that are looking to raise capital. So as I mentioned before, this is definitely open to people sort of adding their input on what I'm talking about. You're free at any time to sort of jump in and maybe raise your hand and ask questions. Shar will be monitoring the chat. Shar Ross is also on our team. She's our chief marketing officer, and she helps me to put together a lot of the marketing materials for positivity. Hey, Shar, she has the positivity water in the background and for StarWalker Industries. And so with that being said, all of the legal stuff out of the way, let's get down to business. So as you saw in the flyer we sent out, anytime you invest, you're actually looking to get your money back. If you're invested in something, not looking to get your money back, then that's a donation. But anytime you go out and you buy stock or you loan people money, you're actually trying to get your money back. And there's different ways to do it. I'm going to walk through how most of the crowdfunding platforms operate for you to get your money back. And there's stages on your money changes forms. So it leaves your bank account, it changes many forms, and then it'll eventually come back to your bank account. So we're going to go through today the different forms of your money while you're invested into the company. The first one is sort of, putting the money in, making that decision. Then what happens with the money while it's sitting in the company meaning it's accruing interest, then that money will convert, both the money you put in plus the interest on top of it will then convert into shares of StarWalker Industry. The shares of StarWalker Industries will be entitled to dividends. So as we make money, you will receive money in exchange for your shares. So you will start to get some money back then. I don't know if that money is going to equal your investment amount or not, but you'll start getting some. And then ultimately you will sell your shares either to a third party that we sell the company to, or on a public offering will be like TD Ameritrade, where you'll sell off your shares, eventually getting your money back. Now, in most companies, you would like this loop to run nice and smooth, but it doesn't always. There's many paths along here where you could actually lose money. This is not a given. This is the ideal path of money, that it grows and it gets bigger and eventually you get it back. But investing is not like a bank. You know, you don't put it in and get a guarantee to get your money back, and it's not backed by the FDIC. But on the other hand, you get higher returns. So in a bank, you might get 2% interest. Well, you'll see, based upon some of the things here, the potential is to get more than just 2% interest here. The potential is to get 8% interest plus additional money that could come from the growth of the company. And we've put some very conservative numbers in, and I think we're going to go through the business plan to show that. But I think it's important to kind of understand the genesis of sort of how crowdfunding works. So this is actually the crowdfunding site. If you click here, you'll go to the main page. So if everybody goes to wefunder.com/StarWalker Industries or invest.starwalkerindustries.com, you will end up on this page. On this page, we'll have everything you need to know about this investment from top to bottom. You'll have highlights of the company. You'll have our full team here. So you can see who I am, who Shar is, and you can read a little bit about them. And then we'll go into some of the direct things, a summary of the business plan. This is not the full business plan, it's a summary. And when you go out to raise capital, you invest in a company, you have to ask yourself 4 questions. What do they do? Why are they good at it? How much money do they need? And what does the investor get for it? So if you act like the shark on Shark Tank, and I'm coming to you, walking out of the back, and I go, hello, my name is Dave Walker. I sell bottled water, and I'm looking to build a manufacturing plant. I'm looking for $4.6 million for a 20% interest in my company. That's what Shark Tank does in the beginning. And then from there, you always ask questions about valuation. What makes you think your company is worth the amount you need? Confirming that you do need the amount you need. Those are the back and forth. But these 4 questions is what I tell everyone who's investing in the company they need to ask of the company. What do you do? Why are you good at it? How much money do you need? And what does the investor get for it? All of these questions are answered here in the summary, and then they're also answered here in the business plan. If you click on this, it'll open up a tab with the business plan. And in this business plan has every detail about everything that I'm about to say, and even further detail. And you can download it. It's 68 pages. It's a thorough business plan, and it changes all the time. This is version 3 that was put out on 3/15. There'll probably be a version 4 put out around 4/15. So you'll know which version you're looking at if you have questions or you want to call me. The background to the founders are there. If we go back up to the table of contents, it's probably a better way to go through this. I can sort of hit some of the key points. We talk about what we do, all the things that we're doing that's driving us to build a bottled water plant. We talk about our past, our management team, what our current structure looks like, our financial history, and the things that we do for charities. Why we've been successful. We've talked about our distribution channel, which includes our Integrity brand and our Pure and our Positivity Alkaline Water brand, our 2 brands of water. And then we also talk about the StarWalker system that we're building that will sell the 3-liter gallons here as we manufacture in our plant going forward. And then lastly, we talk about how much money do we need, and then what does the investor get for it? And that's really what we're going to do today, is focus in on what does the investor get for it. So if we go back to our business plan and we talk about what does the investor get, in this case, you're going to get a promissory note. A promissory note is essentially a loan that a lender gives to a borrower. And basically, the early stages of this investment, you are essentially borrowing money. You are essentially lending money. You are lending money to us for the first at least 2 years at an interest rate of 8%. All of those terms will ultimately be in the notes that you sign. So when you sign up for WeFunder and you say, hey, I'm going to start up a WeFunder account, you'll get something similar to this. You'll have an account, you'll have a cash balance, and you'll have money into the account. Then you'll have under the portfolio, which I'll click over here, you'll be able to say, hey, I want to put some in StarWalker and put the money here, and a bank transfer is initiated. It takes about 2 to 3 business days for the money to come out of your into your cash account, and then immediately it's applied to your StarWalker's account. I don't get that money though. It's basically in the WeFunder account as a sort of allocated amount or an escrow. Once, if you're this person and you put in that $500, once the round closes, they'll send you electronic documents to sign, and that's when your money into StarWalker becomes official. So until that time, you can edit the amount and go to, let's say, 5 million, or you can cancel the amount and say, put the money back into my portfolio account, and from my portfolio account, put it back in my bank account. So that's the way that WeFunder works in general, is you sign up, you set up an account, you put money in, you check your cash balance to make sure it's in, and then you allocate it to StarWalker Industries. So that's what happens. Now, during that process, you're not earning any interest on your money. So if you say, okay, Dave, they took the money out in April, you're not earning any interest until you sign those documents. The minute you sign the documents is when your interest start accruing, and your interest is going to be accruing at 8%. So from the time you put in your money up until it closes, your money is not accruing any interest. Once it closes, your money will start to accrue interest at 8% up until the time that it converts into stock of the company. Now, when will it convert into stock of the company, Dave? There are triggering events that determine when that might happen. One of the triggering events might be, hey, we get subsequent funding from a bigger source, in which case we can then move your money over from being a note or something that we borrowed and take your money plus the interest and move it into shares of the company. Now, how many shares will I get at that time? The big question is, we don't know. We know that there's a valuation cap is what they have down here. That means that they price the company and give you a per share price at the time of conversion. So if at the time of conversion, the company is say $1 a share and there's 10 million shares out there. So they'll say, okay, we're converting everybody over at $1 a share. That means if you have $100 in, and you've earned interest of say $15 or $17, and now you have $117, you'll get 117 shares. Okay. Now, if the company is valued at $100 a share, then you'll get basically 1 share for your $117. We don't plan on it being valued at $100, and this valuation cap means it cannot go higher than $1. So that valuation cap says that no matter what happens when Dave converts these shares, you're going to be fixed at a price, no matter how high the value is later. That's the benefit of getting in at the Friends round, is because you're getting the benefit of a lower valuation when your money converts later. If, however, or when we get past a certain level, they would then increase our valuation to 25 million. At that time, if you convert and put in when it was at 25 million, you'll have to pay about 2.5 times more than you would have had to pay if you were in that first 100,000. Right now, we're roughly at about 15,000. It's been very close, a bunch of friends and family, but it's actually the average investment is coming in at around $500. So we're at about 15,000, about 30 investors. So it's been a nice steady pace for given that we started with a very closed loop group of people. Again, this has not been open to the public. So if you don't know me or you don't know somebody in our company, you haven't been aware of this. It's very hard to find if you search the internet. So this is mostly an idea to try to get your friends and family into that first 100,000. Now, once we crack that $100,000 barrier, it then goes into the next level, which is that 25 million valuation cap. So your timing of your investment matters mostly because of the dollar figures that we're at, and less because of this countdown clock. When that countdown clock goes to 0, regardless if we're at 100,000 or not, everyone is in. So that's the countdown to say, hey, let me think about it. Let me ask Dave some questions. Let me try to figure this out. but you want to get in definitely before the countdown clock, if not sooner, to take advantage of the investment terms. We also have some perks down here. So different people converting at different amounts can enjoy some of these perks. If you invest over 250, you'll get a free case of positivity delivered on your next order. And we'll get a full case if you do $500 or more. And if you do 1,000, you'll get a free case for 3 months. And if you do $10,000, you get a free case for 2 years. And if you know Positivity Alkaline Water, that's a significant value. In fact, it might be worth more than $10,000. But anyway, if you haven't had Positivity Water right before, you should order it and you should drink some and be positive. I think it's a great idea to support the company, not just through investing, but also through your generous purchases of our products. Now, if there's any further ado about the WeFunder site, I kind of like to get into some of the things that we care about. Shar, is there any questions in the chat, or did anybody raise their hand yet?
No, not yet. We do have some people here that went to school with you, people that know Andrew Levy. And so we have quite a wide variety of people that are joining us tonight, but we don't have any questions as yet.
Okay, so let's kind of walk through the WeFunder site. So you also see here, it says updates. This is where you will see updates to the things that we are providing to the company. For the people who are on WeFunder, you'll get these alerts. And if you put money in, or if you've asked to watch us or follow us, and you click that button, it means that you're following us. You'll get updates. More and more as we go public, these updates will occur not through email and not through Facebook Live. They're going to start occurring into this WeFunder site. So as we get there, that's something you have to consider, is that, sign up at least to stay up to date. As you can see, a lot of it has just sort of been some postings we've been doing on the past, but all of the videos that I've done are on here. The video from when we first started is a 30-minute video, just kind of introducing myself. And then there is a video that we did last week in terms of when I first kind of announced it to friends and family. And then you have, the new website we have that came out. And actually, this would be a good time to talk about the website. I'm very proud of it. Shar did a good job with it, but we released a new website last week that kind of goes over a little bit of our company, talks about our manufacturing, our distribution and recycling. Obviously, it goes over the investments and who we are, our 2 different distribution channels, StarWalker Systems and StarWalker Distribution, and a little bit about recycling and what we're doing to recycling and how it sort of works in terms of the deposit return. And then there's a contact us form. If you go up here at the top, you'll be able to get a link to any of these other ones. If you wanted to just understand the manufacturing arm, you click on systems, and then it'll take you to everything that we're doing on our manufacturing side. It shows you a little bit about our bottles we'll be blowing and our proprietary technology. It talks about some of the reasons why we got into manufacturing, and then what is closed loop manufacturing. That's all located under our StarWalker Systems division. In distribution, you have us talking about what we currently do to generate revenue, and that is truckloads of integrity and positivity, how we deliver across the country. Each of those sites have their own links. We're not going to click on them right now, but essentially we do truckload sales. We sell it across the country, and we focus in on distributors throughout the US. 2 of the larger distributors, co-ops we're with is Legacy and Unipro, and we average about $250,000 per year in revenue for that. Obviously, there's the investor tab that essentially brings you back to the WeFunder page, et cetera. And our story is basically our team and a little bit of talking about what we do differently and some of the things that we have going on. We have great news with some of our products. We just found out that we're going to expand our positivity footprint into City Trends. We're at 100 stores. We just got the news that we're going to go to 300 stores. So we're adding 200 more stores for City Trends. That's for thanks them for thinking positive, drinking positivity. We're also working on a huge New York distribution deal that will give us a huge footprint in the city of New York and the surrounding boroughs. And then also we're working on some things to expand in the Southeast and also North Carolina, Virginia, and Texas. So we're working very hard every day to keep the company going and to sell, and we're still growing very fast. This quarter, we had our first profitable quarter without me putting money into the company. That's significant because for 6 years, I've basically been putting money in to cover any gaps. And the gaps that are created are my own gaps because I like to be aggressive. I'm sure if the company just sits back and minimize the expenses, we could still be profitable because I like to be aggressive, go for crowdfunding, build new brands, open up new territories. I've had to put money in, but this last quarter was the first time I did not have to put money in. So that's a significant turning point. And it's also significant because you don't have to bear that burden anymore. You're only working with profit going forward. I've taken all the brunt of the initial capitalization, at least with the distribution side of it. So we have some great things going on now. You want to follow up, Shar?
Well, I just wanted to say that we do have a couple questions here. Liddy Brown said that she had to leave, so she wanted to ask, at what point does she need to invest? So can you go over that again about how we can go ahead and basically register for an investment now, but it's not until after we get the final paperwork that the investment starts?
Yes, the short answer is invest now. The short answer is when you hit this invest button, right, you're going to get pulled to a page that's going to ask you to set up an account and to log into your account. So what'll happen is you'll have to attach your account. They'll open up an online profile. So if you're at Wells Fargo or Bank of America, they'll open up an account login that you might see similarly if you went to your bank's website, and then you will attach your account and then you'll transfer money over into your account. And then you will allocate that money to StarWalker Industries. So the important thing is to do that now, because if you do that now, you get the best pricing. And it's really the benefits of being in the friends and family. Once that $100,000 goal is met, then you might as well can be $50101 or $4,534,000. So I'm just trying to convince family and friends to go ahead, commit, get your money in early, set up in the portfolio so that when we do convert, it will go forward. Now, just like I mentioned before, this money can always be canceled. So suppose you say, okay, Dave, I got a little extra money, stimulus money. I'm going to put in $500. Next week, you get hit with a water heater bill. You can cancel and they'll put the money back out of WeFunder and back into your account because you're not committed until you sign documents. So when you sign your documents, when the funding closes, that's when you'll be committed. So I try to tell friends and family now, because once we get to 100,000, I can't give you any hookup. This is the hookup pricing between 0 and 100,000. After that, it goes to the next level of pricing, which is all the way up to 4.6 million. So this is the time for people who know me and who know this project to say, I'm going to put some money in. You can change your amount all the way up. So you can say, I want to put in $100 now and then $200 in 2 weeks or whenever until the funding closes. So you don't have to commit to this amount. But at this point, I'm recommending that everybody go ahead and invest and put their money in.
On that note, David, also, someone said there's a big jump between 1,000 and 10,000, any options in between. Liddy, could you kind of explain what your question is?
Yes, I was just looking at, I think you said you get 24 months of water at 10,000.
Yeah.
So I was just saying, is there something in between those two numbers?
Well, these are not the numbers that I put up. These are the numbers that WeFunder puts up. I just can put in the sort of allocation, if you will.
Perks.
So
you can do the perks. Okay.
Yeah, I can do the perks,
fine.
but I can't change the platform levels. They set those levels, not me. So that's kind of what we set. I think that anybody who knows me knows that if you're in with this investment and you're riding along, you don't have to worry about being thirsty for the rest of your life, as far as I'm concerned. So they can say what they want to say. I have my own rules, but if you put in $9,999, I'll make sure you still get your 24 months of positivity. I know if you just come up short a couple of dollars, it's gonna be all good.
Thank you.
Sure. So yeah, that perks thing is something that WeFunder is sort of toying with because they've actually not really done that before. A lot of those perks things were left for the volunteer or donation based platforms, usually you put money in and donation in, and then you get like, 1,000, you get like an extra copy or a first album or extra copy of a book or tickets to the premiere. But this is more serious. So I was surprised I didn't even have perks, but they encourage perks. I'm still going through a legal compliance section with them in terms of what we can and cannot do. So for me, it's still something that we got to sort of iron out, but this is kind of the levels that they set for the investor perks. Is there another question, Shar?
Not currently. So, I mean, everyone, you can feel free to unmute or raise your hands. And this is your opportunity to ask questions to David and the rest of the team that's on the Zoom call. We'll be happy to answer them for you and just kind of walk you through any areas that you need clarity on.
Yeah, so these live events will probably be happening each Monday pretty much until we raised enough money to I can stop doing them. But my plan for these events is to have this sort of session for people to ask questions. The following sessions will go into more detail, like we'll have a session on how does bottled water work? Then we'll have a session on plastics. We'll have a session on the environment and why it's important that we understand how PET fits in the environment. We'll have a section on the plant and how manufacturing works and blow mold machines and chillers and compressors and preforms. So just to give you a summary, these are the bottles that are created by our current manufacturer. These bottles cannot be made into other bottles if you throw them in the blue recycling bin. If you finish with these bottles and throw them into the blue recycling bin, they can become single-use plastic, meaning that furniture, clothing, carpet, things of that nature. In order for these bottles to become bottles again, they have to stay together, PET1. They get grinded down and turned into pellets. This is a bag of pellets. This is a post-consumer resin and virgin. This is a mix of raw and recycled plastic. This is a 50-50 mix. So when people say this has been used with recycled plastic, half of this box was made with plastic like this, and the other half came from raw virgin plastic. That plastic is then melted into this preform, okay? And this preform is then put into a machine and blown out like a balloon into a bottle, similar to this, right? And then this bottle is filled, capped, and labeled similar to this, and then this is sold. In general, this will sell for $1.50. We make it for 70 cents. We'll make 32 units of it. I'm not gonna do any financial representations, but you can do the math on how much the plant plans to make. And then we're gonna have a return on this of 25 cents for this bottle, and then we'll have a return for a bottle similar like this that'll be 10 cents. So we will incentivize people to come and return these plastics so that we can melt them down into pellets and create preform. We will not do the melting and the preforms on our facility. We will ship out the collected PET through a baler that will collect the PET and wrap it up. And then you see those trucks on the highway that has all this plastic wrapped up and baled. That'll be picking up from our plant, and they'll ship it to people who turn it into those other forms. And then we'll order our preforms from a person who already manufactures preforms. And we'll try to get as much recycled PET preform as we can into our plant. But we have preforms the size that are big for the big bottle and then smaller ones for our little bottle.
So David, here's another question from Stephen. And I think that he said earlier that he knew you through Andrew. He wants to know, how long will the total crowdfunding round be open or indefinitely, or will it be open indefinitely until you hit your goal?
So yes, it will be open indefinitely until we hit the goal. So this countdown clock is not a countdown to the fundraise being over, not unless my friends and family have 4.6 million, which, hey, they might. This countdown clock is really a countdown clock until when the rest of the community will be able to have access to it. WeFunder has its own little group of investors that they use. Those investors have not seen any of this. They can't get access to this. And unless they know me, they wouldn't have a link to this site. After this countdown clock, it goes to them. It goes to the rest of the world. Advertising, Google ads, Facebook ads, all of that stuff will take off. So that's the point in which it goes. Now, in terms of the cap amount, WeFunder has a cap amount of $1,070,000 that was pretty much in place before March 15th when the new regulations took place to allow crowdfunding to go up to 5 million. To go from 1,070,000 to 5 million, you have to have audited financial statements. We have reviewed financial statements now in the process of getting audited financial statements. So we anticipate the round being open in general about 3 months. It's hard to tell. There's all these varying factors. This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life because I can't control it. I love controlling things and making sure things happen. But in this case, it's not out of my control. I don't know when people get on their heart to say, hey, I want to put some money in. I can tell you this, of the 30 or 32 people invested, I only know about 15 of them. So there are people out there who are taking that risk. God bless you. I appreciate you if you're on the call. I don't take any dollar for granted, but this is one of the hardest things I had to do when you can't invest in yourself and you can't, make people give you money. You just got to, make yourself available and be humble in your spirit and your thoughts and let people ask questions, and hopefully they fall in the right place. But no matter what, I'm going to have fun with this. I am going to try to build this plant. I do want it to be a showcase plant here in Atlanta for the rest of the world to see. I do believe there's a lot of people hungry for being included in this discussion on plastic and recycling and our local water resource. We've seen what happened in Flint and Texas, and we're being left out of the conversation when it comes to bottled water. We rely heavily on people who may not have our interest in mind on bottled water when there's an emergency. And we just don't have a seat at the table. And my job is to sort of create that. And is it going to be successful? Is it going to change the way people look at recycling? Is it going to change the way people look at Atlanta and its recycling process? I don't know, but it's worth a try. And I just want to find a bunch of people that wants to jump on the bandwagon and try along with me. And I'm going to have fun with it. We're going to not take life too serious. I do have a law practice still that's fully functional and takes up a tremendous amount of time. But when you have a good team and you've relied on the people around you, it makes things a lot easier. And we have a fantastic team here at Positivity.
So David, let's talk about the recycling a little bit more. We have a question that, will we only take back Positivity bottles for recycling? And then can you talk a little bit about the recycling vending machines and, what our goal is for actually having people bring the bottles back, and how we looking at maybe setting up different opportunities for different nonprofit organizations to participate in that. So in essence, we're giving back to the community while we're recollecting the bottles.
Yeah, so the long story short is this is a PET1 bottle. And so we will be focusing in on our bottles, which will be basically this bottle and this bottle to bring back, mostly because of our business model of saying, hey, the money's in there and the money you paid for your bottle. So we will focus only on our bottles that are being manufactured through StarWalker. However, remember when I said we would not be the ones processing it and turning it into this, we would ship it off. As we start to have our campaign of that 25 cents that you pay inside of your $1.50 for that bottle, we would go into a cash reserve allowance. This cash reserve allowance will be used to pay back people who bring their bottles back. But to the extent you don't get 100% return, it happens. We're going to use the net balance of that reserve account to move towards expanding our plastic collection facility. If we get to the point where we're actually able to put the vending machines on that not just collects it, but able to read the bottle and starts to put it in different slots, we'll be able to take more PET1 bottles besides ours. We're able to take Cokes, Pepsi. I'm not throwing any shade at them, but we'll be able to take other bottles in town, PET1 bottles in town, and be able to use those to increase. We won't be able to pay people for them, but instead of you just having a bag of just kind of your Positivity bottles and bringing them back, you'd have a bag that would have all your PET1 bottles and bring them back. You might get only paid for your Positivity ones, but at least you're doing more for the community. And we would continue to collect until we can create a closed loop system where not only are we collecting the PET, but now we're making our resin at our place. Now we're doing our own preforms. And so that's when you have a true closed loop system where the bottle you're drinking actually came from a previous bottle with somebody else in the city earlier. So the answer to your, yes.
Go ahead.
No, the answer to the question is we won't take more than our bottles we produce at first, but if things go well, we'd be able to buy equipment to take other forms of PET1 bottles.
So what happens when we don't do clean recycling, that when we take the plastic bottles and we mix them in with cardboard and glass and other things, what happens to, what is the shortfall of that, or what's the opportunity of doing a closed loop clean recycling plant.
Yeah, so if this bottle ends up in the blue recycling bin, you've seen the blue recycling bin. It might have been your blue recycling bin at home. You throw your, other PET ones. This is a PET one bottle, but they have PET up to 7. 1 means it's highly recyclable for another product. 7 means it's kind of been thinned out. Think of 1 as bubble yum when you first get it, and 7 is like Wrigley's after you've been chewing on it for 2 or 3 hours. And that's the higher numbers, right? So the PET one is the best one, where you can say, okay, I can use this again, right? And you can keep it with other PET one. But when you throw it in with all the cardboard and all the other plastics, and you take them to these collection sites, they have to separate them to the best they can. Well, a lot of times that separator site has been China. For years, it's been China. They put these recyclables on a barge and they ship them to China. Well, about 2 or 3 years ago, China, in its feud with our former president, decided that they were going to no longer take these recyclable barges. Basically, they labeled as trash, and they sent them first back to Canada and then back to the US. So what does that mean? Very quickly, the US storage of recyclable products piled up because China's the one that takes this bottle and burns it down and then tries to make this out of it, right? And China's saying, no, we're not doing that anymore. We'll recycle within our country. We're not taking anybody else's trash or dirty recycling. So what happened is, you've seen the effects of it right now in Atlanta, probably, is a lot of municipalities who were collecting those blue containers would ship it to their separation house. The separation house didn't have anywhere to put it on the barge. They would send it to the landfill. So all of a sudden now you got the green trucks going to the landfill. You got the blue trucks going to another spot that's charging them for separation, but ending up at the landfill. And so ultimately, some cities across the US have started to decrease their recycling initiatives because they can't afford to have that extra step of sending things through another party only to end up at the landfill anyway. So they're paying double. So what you start to see, instead of cities coming clean with residents, like, look, our recycling campaigns haven't really been that effective, and it's all kind of still mixed up, and we don't have the heart to tell you that. You're just gonna have to go back to trash. They'll keep up the facade of, all right, let's just keep this all the separate cycling. But in Atlanta, I don't know if you noticed, over the last 2 weeks, they haven't been coming every week for recycling. It's been like every 2 weeks. So it's starting to affect cities of saying, like, hey, can we afford to have these recycling programs if our citizens are not being more intentional? Meaning having a bin for PET one plastic, having a bin for aluminum, having a bin for cardboard. When you separate the products like that, it becomes valuable. That's why we're going to pay. But if you send me this bottle and you mix it with, some of your tea box and cereal, and you bring it back to our plant, I can't use that bottle anymore. It's been dirty. So in order to have clean recycling, we got to have all the plastics together of the right number. So you technically would have a 1 through 7 recycling bin and put the ones and the ones and the twos and the twos. And Americans aren't ready for that, right? And they're certainly not going to do it, and cities aren't going to pay for it. But we got to show by this plant to say, hey, if you people have the right incentive and the right heart and they understand what's happening, they'll do it. Plastic is the only best way to produce water to you. We try to put it into a cardboard, you're going to have a plastic lining inside of that cardboard. And guess what? That plastic lining is not recyclable. It's that single-use plastic. And it's expensive. You try to put it in an aluminum can, good luck selling a $6 canned bottle of water. You try to put it into a glass container, good luck with shipping and breaking and other things. Plastic is the use for delivering water to people. But why we ship plastic outside of our cities and outside of our states and then wonder, oh, why is there so much plastic in the world without any incentive to bring them back, is the problem we have. So we want to show that we're going to keep our bottles in Atlanta, bring them back in Atlanta, and then recycle them in Atlanta and keep a closed loop system. And this is where it starts. Now, once you get that system built up, and Atlanta can hold 6 plants, you can actually start the process of trying other things than plastic. What do I mean? If you go to Coke and you say, hey, I want you to use this preform made from soy, they can't do that. Their plants do a truckload an hour. So if you have small plants in your community, you can have local initiatives to say, hey, this weekend we're going to try new materials on our plant. We're going to try some made out of soy. We're going to try some made out of other things. And this is how you change the way we do things. That more plants around the country and more cities have the opportunity to manufacture locally, you'll start to share information and go, oh, wait a minute, they found something out in in Houston that you can use this instead of this, or if you do this with your machine, you can make it better for recyclables. This is how you change the plastic game, and this is what's called closed loop. A lot of manufacturers will put money into this only for the recycling part, but if they really cared, they would actually try to get the raw resources they put in the stream of commerce. Hope to answer your question, Shar.
Can you go back to the homepage of the StarWalker website? And I know some people have been coming in, throughout the Zoom. So let's just step right there. Let's talk a little bit about StarWalker Industries, our three big initiatives of manufacturing, distribution, and recycling. Can you kind of give an overview synopsis of what the company is about with those three different areas?
Yeah, again, I'm going to focus mostly in on the business plan because that's really where I want to drive you. I don't want to drive you to the website. I want to drive you to WeFunder, so you can click this invest button and put your money in. So we're going to try to keep the frame of reference here. But essentially, if you go through here about what does StarWalker do, you'll get a little bit of some of it. But at the bottom down here, and also at the top, you'll see this download the business plan. And I did you the favor of pulling it up here. You'll be able to go through here and sort of read through the table of contents and be able to understand a little bit about what we do in more detail. But in general, we have two divisions. One division is manufacturing, like this is the blow mold machine behind me. You probably can't see it, but we do manufacturing. And in the other division, we sell goods that are manufactured by others. So in this case, we sell integrity and we sell positivity. These currently generate revenue and profit. Manufacturing does not, because it hasn't started yet. So part of this fundraise is allocated towards continuing to grow our current brands and our current distribution brands. And the other part of it, a majority of it, is allocated towards us building a plant, StarWalker Systems. So systems is the plant. The other side is the distribution channel. So we believe that we can pay our money back if we, one, just put the money towards what we have already. In that distribution plan, we're going to hire employees. We have some huge PR firms coming on board. There's great videos you've seen, the video you've seen already. We got more of those coming out. We have a lot of, we got to hire a couple more people. We got the expansion into New York, as we talked about, City Trends. So our first goal is to sort of fund what we have now. And then the next level of funding, after we get sort of the amount that we think is necessary for that, we'll start to move towards the plant. That means identifying the location. That means ordering our equipment. It takes 9 months for our equipment to be manufactured overseas, putting in the order and start selling. Because if we start selling now and the plant is built next year, we can be able to start to sell our capacity before we even get started. So imagine a scenario where your fundraise is done, let's say tomorrow. And then May 1st, you can start telling people, I'll have this available next spring. Can I sign you up for a truckload? Can I sign you up for, a couple pallets? And oh, by the way, you get a 25-cent return. We get a head start on selling with manufacturing. That's the beauty of it. So once your plant is just producing, you've already have orders out and you're pretty much selling ahead of your production. So you don't have to keep any inventory. So that's our plan. Is one side is manufacturing, StarWalker Systems. The other side is the distribution of our current brands that we already have. But again, the details of all can be found in our business plan, which is located on our website. And our website, again, is invest.starwalkerindustries.com or wefunder.com/StarWalkerIndustries. Either one will take you to the same site. I think if you haven't watched the video, sort of summarizes what I'm talking about. There's more videos coming out. There's exciting things coming. This is not going to be the first time me selling to you. It won't be the last time. I'll be constantly having these sort of Monday night Zooms until people feel comfortable. No questions are too silly, stupid. I don't want to ask this question because it might be obvious. It's not obvious. And I'm guarantee you other people are thinking it. And it doesn't embarrass me. If anything, if I get stumped, I'll say, hey, I don't know, but I'll have the answer at our next call. Here, I want to take you to some other points. There's some people who've already put money in, who've made comments, and who've actually have their opinions about not just me and our team. I suggest you read through them. Some of them are funny, but all of them I think are true assessments of what I think to be a great team that we have and the way that we're doing it and the vision that we have to change this system that we're in. And then there's a section that hasn't really been effective because we haven't really brought in the volume to trigger it. But when the public gets in, they'll submit their questions here, and it's an open dialogue. So let's talk a little bit about the great job President Obama did getting us to this point. And he doesn't get credit for it because it happened in his presidency. But in his presidency, he said that he wanted to create a mechanism for small businesses to raise money with their within their community without the restrictions of what the SEC requires of publicly traded companies now. You know, audit financial statements and all of these legal work. All the lawyers on here know what I'm talking about. So Obama in the Jobs Act of 2012 said, okay, let's have crowdfunding, you know, for people. Well, what ended up happening is the SEC drugged their feet, issued a bunch of laws that really didn't apply and really were too cumbersome. But ultimately, they passed it and they said, okay, here's our crowdfunding platform. You're going to create platforms that'll have to be registered with us, and you platforms will monitor the investors, which you saw in the back end, and you'll also monitor the companies. So you had a bunch of platforms out there, but you had companies starting to apply, but the field of investors was very, very low until really the last year and a half. The summer of discontent mixed with all the fluctuation of buying on Robinhood, et cetera, people started to be aware, like, you know what, I can invest in small businesses, I can invest in Black businesses, and I can invest in a level now that made sense. So all of what Obama envisioned is finally coming true. StarWalker Industries and raising money through this platform is what he envisioned, of somebody coming out, being able to ask the community for investment money, not for a donation, not for a handout, but investment money that normally would go to a bank, or a high wealthy investor would say, oh, Dave, you know, these what they call accredited investors. Oh, Dave, I can give you the money now. I don't even know why you're dealing with all these, you know, hundreds of people. It's because I want to, and it's because I need them. It's because I don't need them just for the investment. I need them to order positivity. I need them to bring the bottle back. I need them to do the whole thing. So I've chosen this platform as a way to say to my community, I'm looking to do this with you, and I want to share it with you, and we're all going to do it together. And I'm going to have fun with it. And so I think this is for me, this is sort of Obama's standing ovation that we got to this point. He probably won't get the credit for it, but he envisioned this a long time ago. It's just taking a while to implement it. So I wish that this platforms and these platforms, and I'm not really giving any special credence to WeFunder.com. There's a bunch of other platforms you can choose to go out there. But I hope that people will see, not just from the success of StarWalker, but other things, other campaigns. They might be smaller dollar amounts, but there's restaurants and businesses in your community that need money to build out a patio or need money to buy an extra truck, that we can now do it without writing them a check or waiting for a donation or a grant. You could actually put the money in, hold them accountable. This ask a question is the hold accountable part. Obama figured that if, hey, investors are going to come talk to businesses, that they don't need to be monitored by the SEC. They'll be monitored by each other. So if somebody writes in here, hey, Dave, why'd you buy that Lamborghini last week? Everybody else can see the answer to it and go, hey, I didn't know that. And the idea behind this crowdfunding site is that the crowd asks the questions and they keep you in check. Like if I say, oh, I don't do any law, and they go, yes, you do. I saw you as an attorney last week. Anything that you try to say to the public, you can sort of say to other people. Is kind of the social media effect that you self-govern yourself. So don't put your business out there if it's not a legitimate business, or people can walk to your storefront. Hey, I went to that address you put up. I didn't see any businesses there. And so that's really what crowdfunding is designed to do, is be kind of self-governed by the people who are investing and who are asking the questions.
So Dave, we've got a couple more questions for you. So
okay.
Somebody that you've known for your entire life says, when bottles are returned from out of state, where do we take those bottles?
Right now, nowhere. Right now, there's no. So a lot of the bottle deposit laws are mandated by states. These are not, I'm the first one trying to do it on the corporate side. Most of the bottled water companies don't want deposit laws. So you have deposit laws in Maine, New York, Connecticut, California, and I think I'm missing one more, maybe Delaware.
Delaware.
Yeah, they have bottled deposit laws that they enforce on the distributors from those bottled water companies. And these bottled water companies spends millions in lobbying dollars not to have that expanded, because it's not in their interest. A bottled water company, for example, who's making, cases of positivity at, basically a truckload or 26,000 per hour, they're not interested in anything that requires more restrictions on them getting that bottle and plastic out of their plant. And so a lot of the enforcements you see for bottle deposits are regulated by the states. They're not regulated by companies. So our company and our deposit will not be regulated by states either. So if you took our bottle to New York and said, oh, Positivity gave me 25 cents for this bottle. You know, how come I can't get 25 cents in New York? It's because it's a corporate return. I'm doing it on a corporate level to be part of a sustainability loop in our community. So,
And so,
you will not be able to take the positivity water and go somewhere else.
okay, so another question is, will we be able to see how close you are to getting to the target dollar amount? And I think the answer to that would be yes, once we take the countdown clock down.
Yeah, once the countdown clock goes away, you will see behind it the amount of money raised and the goal. And so that's up until April 30th. But after that, it'll be open to the public. You'll see how much money. And I can tell you right now, we don't have 4.6 million though. So yeah, I can tell you that pretty confidently that that's not in there. But after this countdown clock goes down, so in 17 days, you'll be able to see how much we've raised at that time, and then how much the goal will be as well.
And then I don't know, Ryan, if you need to help us field this question or not, but can we link WeFunder to a savings account, or is it just to a checking account or to a debit card?
So yes,
Go ahead, Brian.
WeFunder can be linked to a checking and or a savings account. So you do have the option to pick.
Great. And Jerome, if you'd like to go ahead and ask a question, feel free.
Great, thank you. And just out of full disclosure, I'm recovering from the COVID, so that is why I'm not visual.
God bless you. God bless you.
Yes. David, how many years have you sold product now? I think I heard you say you were in business for 6 years, but how many years have you sold product?
All 6. I hit the ground running. When I met with a bottled water manufacturer and I said, hey, I wanted to get into this business, they immediately told me, before you build a plant, you need to understand distribution. And at that time, I was actually working, I had just finished a deal out in New Mexico that really didn't go the way everybody wanted it to go, but I was the attorney. And I met a fantastic salesperson who was very good in the bottled water industry. And we worked together and grew our first client base in 2014 and 15. So since that time, we've been selling truckloads of water, and it's just been growing and growing and growing. The manufacturer that I work with has 11 plants across the United States, Missouri, Illinois, Georgia, Tennessee, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Texas, Mississippi, Nevada. So what we do is we actually have a radius in which we sell to distributors. So we order our truckload from our manufacturer. They put it on their dock. We have the freight truck come pick it up, ship it to the distributor. The distributor then breaks it down and sells it to its respective retailers. And because you don't really get into people's business when they buy stuff from you, I don't know who those retailers are. So a lot of people will tell me like, oh, Dave, I saw Positivity somewhere, or I saw Integrity somewhere. And I actually don't know. I just know that they probably bought it from one of our distributors. So I've been dealing at the high level, I call it Nino Brown level, bottled water. And then I'm looking to now, build my own plant though. So I have capacity restrictions when you operate like this. Meaning that if I want to go out and bid on a contract for, 2 or 3 truckloads per month, I can't do that because I have to bring in my manufacturer with me, or I have to ask my manufacturer, is it okay if I get, like 5 or 10 more truckloads per month? And I'm limited to what they say to me. And that limits the ability to make money, quite frankly. And so that's another motivation is to be able to say, yes, I can fulfill your contract here in the state of Georgia or in the city of Atlanta, because I can control the manufacturing. So you walk in and they say, oh, a brother doing bottled water. We need more brothers doing bottled water. Come over here. Let me know what you're doing. And you sit down and tell them, and they're like, you manufacture? Oh, no, somebody else bottles. And they're like, oh, yeah, we can only deal with you if you're bottling yourself. So there's a lot of limitations to what we've been doing, but we've been selling truckloads for a long time. We'll continue to sell truckloads. The brands are very popular, and we feel very good about them. And it's been 6 years now.
Over the past 3 years, respectively, what has sales been?
We averaged about 250,000 a year in revenue. We had a huge number before that of 450,000, but that was when we employed salespeople. And since that time, we've been shifting towards the plant model, and we're looking to get back to that where we can start to employ some more salespeople and continue to grow our brand. Also, too, the positivity only came along the last 2 years. The margins on positivity are significantly better than the margins on integrity and purified. And just to give you an idea, a truck of, let's say, our integrity, truckload of that, you're probably making and profiting off of a truckload, about 26,000 bottles. You're probably profiting $500. Just call it on average. A truckload of positivity, you're probably looking closer to $3,000 to $4,000. So it makes a difference in terms of the margins and your ability to fluctuate. Now, at the same time, positivity is not produced at all those plants. It's produced in Wisconsin, produced in Tennessee, and it may be going to be produced in Texas. So there's still limitations within our growth, but we feel very good about what we have. We feel very good about our current customer base. We've gotten tremendous response from positivity, and people like the taste of it, and we feel very good about it. But that's a very good question, Jerome.
Good. One other question, and I will shut up. And I've been realizing I haven't had an opportunity to read your business plan, and a lot of this information may be in that plan. When you're up and running with your facility, what do you look for capacity to be from your Atlanta facility?
Yeah, so we're looking at doing about 32 million units of this, right? And that's probably about 40 truckloads a month between the 3 liter and also the 700 milliliter, the 24 ounce. Well, those will be our 2 primary products. 2 different markets. You know, this is a grab and go. We'll probably do a 1 liter bottle as well, but that's more your grab and go and things you see kind of at your convenience store. Then you have your 3 liters and what you would use for like big box stores and like, you know, for family reunions and everyday use. So when you get that, you know, hey, you need a boil water alert, you actually have some place to go get water. So there's another question.
Yes, from Isaiah.
Yes,
Go,
I was
Isaiah.
wondering, is there going to be more Zoom meetings to discuss this?
Oh, absolutely. My plan is to do a Zoom meeting pretty much every Monday around this time at 7. So I don't know if Shark, can they save this same Zoom link or will there be a Zoom link each time?
Yes, we're going to go ahead and continue to use this Zoom link. And everybody that has participated in this Zoom session, you'll automatically be added to our distribution list. So you'll be notified the next time we have another Zoom meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
My
thank
plan
you.
is to answer as many questions as possible. One of the unique things about being an engineer and an attorney is we've saved a lot of money in both of those services, but there isn't a whole lot in this company that moves that doesn't have my fingerprint on it somewhere. But the only way I can get better, however, is if people raise questions that I'm not aware of. As we work on our business plan, we might find out that we missed something or we need to highlight some more things. And so each version of our business plan will be a direct reflection of some of these meetings. We record them. We try to offer them later on, like I said, the update site. So you'll see this recording on this update site. So you see updates, we'll post it here. And again, get in, become a member of the We Funder community, fund your account, move your account over to StarWalker Industries, get in line, order positivity, be part of it, and think of outrageous goals. And when you think of investing into StarWalker, think of it as an outrageous goal to be a difference maker. You know, we only have roughly 100 years on this planet. And if you think about all the things around you, most of those things around you weren't invented by the people who are still alive. And so this is a chance to leave something. This is a chance to say, hey, for my time on this earth, I tried to make a difference. Whether I was successful or not, it gives it a try. And each person who's investing, you're part of that lineage. You're part of that chance to say, you know what, I did something about plastic. I did something about bottled water resources while I was alive on this planet. And that's all I'm trying to do is get a bunch of like-minded people to bring in more like-minded people and then do this together. And I'm looking forward to convincing you. I love these meetings. It wasn't stressful at all. I don't have any notes. I have an empty note taker here. I don't have any notes because it's all from my heart. It's all what I believe in. And I love doing it. I'll answer your questions. You can email me. Ryan, as you heard, is our investor relations person. He can help you with your accounts in case you don't want to tell me how much money you want to invest. Ryan can look it up. And we have, and Shar, can you put the link tree in the chat?
I'm
the
doing
link
it
tree
right
in the
now.
chat will have all of the links you need for investing. It'll have the link to the WeFunder page. It'll have the link to Ryan's schedule, and it'll also have a link to buy some positivity so you can think positive. if that's it, sharp, it's 8 o'clock. I like to end on time, as everybody knows. I like to start on time, end on time. I thank everybody for coming in and giving their time today, asking these awesome questions, and for being part of what I believe to be an outrageous goal of mine, which is to change the way people think about bottled water and recycling. And until next week, signing off, and you'll get another message in some sort of email correspondence from me, even if you did invest, because I like talking to everybody. So thanks again. Bye, friends and family, and can't wait to be part of this investment with you.
Thanks, everyone. Think positive and drink positivity alkaline water.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Bye, Mom. You look so pretty.